This is huge. It is no longer enough to hold XRP. The duty to our shareholders is to make it productive.
It's true, we're at a turning point. Public chains were once seen as too risky for institutions, and now it's too risky for institutions not to integrate them with their business.
Where we are, so I'm hoping that the audience here will understand how they're going to be able to use their XRP to get yield and then participate downstream in the DeFi ecosystem with a liquid stake token.
NASDAQ listed Vivo Power is deploying $100 million in XRP on Flare Network. Wow, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another CYPRX video banger. In today's two-part video series, I'm going to be showing you guys how here at CYPRX, everything that we've been attempting to show you all is finally materializing at a very rapid pace. We are entering into an era where we are not going to have to sell our digital assets, and it would behoove you all to start to learn about these DeFi primitives and opportunities that are going to start to exist for us as XRP holders in the near future. As always, many blessings to you guys. In today's video breakdown, we're going to be diving into some panel discussions and some recent breaking fundamentals from both Flare, XLR, Persist, and the XRPL EVM sidechain, all taking place right now behind the scenes that are going to allow us as everyday XRP holders to earn and generate passive rewards, yield on our XRP. This is so monumental because here at CYPRX, we have been advocates of telling you all that this is going to take place over the next consecutive couple of months/years. So we're going to start here. The first portion of today's video breakdown is going to be the Flare portion. I will break it in half, and then we will go into detail covering some XLR fundamentals that have recently taken place, all being announced at Apex 2025. So I said here to you guys, this is back from July 15th, 2024, when nobody else was talking about DeFi on the XRPL. Why? Because it is relatively new. The AMM feature launched just last year in March, if I'm not mistaken off the top of my head, which opened the door for DeFi opportunities on the XRPL for the first time in history. Last bull market, I said, XRP had no DeFi ecosystem helping boost momentum like ETH did. Keep in mind, this post is now almost a year old. That has all changed now for the first time ever. You have seen nothing but DeFi developments on the XRPL. Buckle up. This ride will be different, utility, bull run, or not. The DeFi ecosystem alone on this network is about to explode in TVL over the next 8 to 12 months. This is back when the TVL on the XRPL active in DeFi was only sitting at $9 million. It is now currently sitting at about $57 to $58 million, and billions of dormant XRP are about to be unlocked for yield generation in the next consecutive couple of months. I don't think people understand how massive this is. Why? Because again, people are skeptical. We've been through a lot in terms of DeFi related scams and fallouts over the past couple of years, but now it is time to shift that mindset. So to continue on this Twitter thread, just to show you guys that we have been advocates of trying to get people to see the same exact things that these individual experts like Hugo Filion are saying to you guys. As he mentioned in this intro video, we're going to be able to participate in DeFi utilizing our XRP and yield generating strategies without having to get out of our XRP positions.
So I'm hoping that the audience here will understand how they're going to be able to use their XRP to get yield and then participate downstream in the DeFi ecosystem with a liquid stake token. This then allows them to effectively retain their position in XRP, but also get some financial performance out of it other than just the beta to the market.
So I said to you guys here, seeing price pump in crypto is exciting, no doubt. But watching those same assets surge while you are also stacking passive yield on them, that is when you realize you are no longer just an investor. You have become your own bank. There is an entire other side of the game where price action meets smart positioning combined with daily yield generation. And I'm going to show you guys via a recent breaking fundamental that institutions are 110% participating in this right now on chain on the XRPL. So last but not least, the only personal tweet left to share is where I said to you guys just the other day on June 3rd, Interestingly enough, all this info came out before Apex and before all these recent announcements from Flare and XLR, just to show you guys that here at CYPRX, we pay attention to what matters and the fundamentals that are actually going to drive a high value price target for XRP. Smart people will not sell their XRP. They will learn how to lend, how to borrow, how to provide liquidity, how to yield farm, how to liquid stake. And you have people like the Bearable Bull who used my post and still went on to tell people that when XRP hits $23, you are going to get lucky enough to time the top, sell at the top, and implement that profit back into a market pullback, again, under the speculation that we are even going to get a drastic market pullback where you're going to be able to do that. I have nothing against Bearable Bull utilizing my post and information in his video breakdowns, but I suggest you do not speculate on possibilities and instead focus on guarantees in this market. For anybody to think that the market is going to rally and pull back significantly enough for you to reposition yourself at discounted prices is 110% speculative, and it may or may not happen.
I think you hear a lot of people talking about how the crypto space is purely narrative driven. You have to understand the narrative, and that's all there is to it. But I think that's a fact of the market because it is primarily retail driven now. And the other big thing everybody talks about is the institutions coming. And institutions aren't going to behave like retail investors. So I think that when you're creating a trading strategy, an investment strategy, you want to be focused on how the market is going to evolve, not exactly how it's been. How it's been, coincidentally, has not been around for very long. You know, you're working off of 5 to 10 years of good data. So I think you can't just take what has happened in a market that's been driven by retail and expect that once it matures and institutions get involved, that it's going to behave the same.
Now, I am a firm believer of selling a portion of your digital assets for profit, but there is a large majority of my digital assets that will not be sold until 2030 and beyond, because I will be participating in yield generating strategies, just stacking passive income and continuing to build bigger bags. I will obviously, of course, be taking some profits off the top on certain positions, but that is why I'm diversified in my portfolio. I have a DeFi bag, I have a long-term bag, and I have a day trading bag. Not financial advice, but I suggest you look into diversification so you don't get caught off guard thinking that you're going to be able to time the market top and get an opportunity to re-implement that capital at a discount. Again, speculation that that is even going to take place in the future, right? So pay attention, pay yourselves through passive rewards. Those are going to be the people, in my personal opinion, that survive long-term in this space. And we are now, for the first time ever, seeing public announcements from large institutions in collaboration with Flare make this known, that these strategies exist. This is monumental. This just goes to show these are not influencers on Twitter, on YouTube with hundreds of thousands of followers. These are the people actually building out the infrastructure for all of this to take place. And they are the ones telling you this, not me. I'm here as an influencer who just did research before all of this stuff was announced and tried to get you guys to see what is taking place. So check this announcement out, June 11th, 2025 from Flare Networks. NASDAQ listed Vivo Power is deploying $100 million in XRP on Flare Network. Ripple and XRP Ledger built the enterprise-grade foundation. Flare now adds the DeFi layer, F assets, Firelight, and compliant yield.
Flare co-founder and CEO Hugo Filion joins us. Hello.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Now, you're here at Apex 2025. You are going to be talking on stage later. Talk to me a little bit. Give me a preview about what you hope to convey to the audience here.
Absolutely. So we're covering, the background of Flare is it's a layer 1 blockchain which has fundamentally baked in data protocols into the chain. So this allows effectively the chain itself to get data from prices to Web 2 data to Web 3 data. This means you can build applications on the chain that are quite unique relative to other layer 1s. We've built essentially the easiest and most robust way to bring data from external systems onto the chain. We're using that to increase the capabilities of the XRP asset and for people to be able to use that XRP asset to get yield through a restaking and staking service.
Now, let's talk a little bit about XRP staking. I know that you are going to be discussing that on stage a little bit later. Talk to us more about this partnership and what this means for folks who are holding XRP.
Oh, absolutely. So we're building with an entity in the US called Firelight. We're building a staking platform for XRP. And it's going to start with things like staking to AVSs. An AVS is actively validated service. This is a service either on-chain or on a different chain or a layer 2 that needs to acquire value in order to bootstrap its ecosystem, acquire security value. That's the fundamental premise of effectively staking in this manner. But we're also going to be providing different types of vaults. So you have a risk strata, starting with very, very, very low risk things like staking to AVSs, but there'll be other vaults with different risk levels that do more interesting financial activities with XRP. And so people will be able to pick effectively the level of risk that they want, obviously compliant with regulation. So from very simple low risk things to higher risk, higher return things. And that's the sort of promise that staking represents for XRP, which is, of course, a $134 billion asset and a huge use case for Flare, and a huge use case for being able to put XRP to work in other areas.
Compliant yield generation with our XRP. I mean, it cannot get any better than that, where users can earn yield, more XRP treasury, and redeploy. Institutional XRP hits DeFi.
So this is a shift that we're seeing. Institutions are moving from pilots into production. Yesterday, we had the announcement of digital commercial paper live on XRPL. Real assets are coming on chain. Commercial paper, treasuries, money market funds, stable coins. All of these things are happening today on the XRP ledger. And this isn't box checking. This isn't another DeFi fad. This is a massive, massive opportunity. These institutions are adopting layer 1 blockchains because they see the advantages of the decentralization and the governance. These institutions will be innovation accelerators. They don't own the XRP ledger. They don't want to run the XRP ledger. They want to participate on an open blockchain. The trustworthy infrastructure brings more building blocks to more developers.
So you all heard it directly from David Schwartz himself. Institutions are now participating 110%. And this post goes on to say, institutional XRP hits DeFi. This is groundbreaking, also considering something that Jazzy Cooper, head of DeFi developments, just recently said at Apex. Take a second and listen.
Thanks, David. It's true, we're at a turning point. Public chains were once seen as too risky for institutions, and now it's too risky for institutions not to integrate them with their business. Institutions have truly embraced blockchain and are finally launching real products on public chains, including the XRP ledger. And XRPL is evolving to meet that demand. Over the past year, a number of key features have gone live, ranging from the automated market maker to decentralized identity, price oracles, and clawback. And we have others that are still in voting: credentials, MPTs, permission domains. These features are foundational infrastructure for building secure, transparent, and scalable financial products. And we're not just modernizing finance, we're making it more inclusive, accessible, and programmable. And we're finally seeing real traction. XRPL is supporting real-world applications ranging from payments to yield generation, all decentralized and at scale. Ranging from payments to yield generation, all decentralized and at scale.
So again, you heard it directly from Jazzy Cooper, enabling yield generation. So let's dive into this fundamental report here from Vivo, Power, and Flare. This is groundbreaking for anybody that is considering trying to time the market under speculation that you're going to be able to time the top and you're going to be able to time the market pullback and re-implement that capital strategically in order to grow your XRP bags. That mindset is outdated and old, and these financial institutions are literally telling you all this in their documents. So June 10th, 2025. Vivo Power is building a virtuous cycle generating yield and using it to systematically increase its core XRP position, creating a perpetually compounding engine for shareholder value. Vivo's Power strategic transformation to an XRP-centric treasury is supported by a consortium of global shareholders, including His Royal Highness Prince, I'm not going to butcher this gentleman's name, of Saudi Arabia, reflecting a deep conviction in long-term institutional roles for the XRP asset. So this goes on to read. A publicly traded company focused on XRP-centric treasury strategy today announced the launch of definitive partners with Flare to generate yield on its digital assets. The agreement initiates the deployment of Vivo Power's XRP holdings through a scalable framework beginning with a benchmark initial phase of US $100 million. This marks the first major execution of Vivo Power's new corporate strategy and significant validation of the XRP ecosystem's utility for institutional treasury management. This definitive agreement marks a pivotal moment for institutional adoption within the rapidly expanding Flare ecosystem. The network has already demonstrated significant traction in the retail sector through partners like Uphold, a global digital asset platform serving over more than 10 million users with approximately US $7 billion in assets under reserve. Vivo Power's commitment now represents the crucial institutional validation of the ecosystem, establishing the first major treasury management use case on the network. This partnership delivers the first institutional scale validation of Flare's F-asset system, establishing it as an essential programmable utility layer for the XRP ecosystem. Now, here is where it gets interesting. The strategy is designed to be regenerative. Vivo Power will generate yield via protocols on Flare such as Firelight and reinvest that income directly back into its core XRP holdings, creating a perpetually compounding capital efficient treasury. This is huge. It is no longer enough to hold XRP. The duty to our shareholders is to make it productive. This is a landmark partnership with Flare and does precisely that. It puts our treasury to work. We are building a virtuous cycle, generating yield and using it to systematically increase core XRP positions. Do you see anything here about this institution selling XRP? And you heard exactly what Hugo Filion said at Apex, that this allows users to put their XRP to work and not have to sell out of their positions. So for any influencer out there that is going to further take my post and say, oh, it still would behoove you to sell XRP at $23 and try to time the market properly and re-implement that capital under speculation that we're going to get a pullback, stop following them, people, because the institutions are not day traders. They're not day traders, people. We are heading into a utility-driven environment. And DeFi unlocks a certain aspect of utility on XRP that has never been unlocked in its history, right? So think about that in terms of whales that hodl XRP. Do you think they're going to want to sell their XRP? No. They're not going to want to try to time the markets under speculation that we're going to get some bear market cycle once hundreds of billions of dollars of institutional money floods in. You really think that we're going to get some significant pullback after XRP goes to $20, $30, $40, $50, and you're going to be able to time the market and re-enter back in at $5 to $2 to build your bags? Oh my goodness gracious. I feel so bad for people that follow influencers with high follower counts that just believe what they say aimlessly when the research is literally in the documentation via what these institutions are doing. They tell you directly in their fundamentals what they plan to do. They plan to strategically increase their XRP positions by generating yield and compounding. Word for word, that is exactly what I've said to you guys in 2 previous posts before this fundamental development even broke to the general public. Think about why that is. Why a post from a guy like me directly mirrors an institutional strategy that is taking place right now on the XRP ecosystem. It is because we do institutional grade research here at CYPRX. So that is it for the first portion of today's video breakdown. Think about how hard you have worked to accumulate these digital assets, and you still have influencers trying to convince you to sell for fiat currency, for a dying, decaying system, whom we know, all of us, if we're in crypto and you've been hodling for years, you know that the old traditional financial system, including fiat, is dying.
I mean, all of the fiat money in the world is depreciating. Some a little bit and some faster. And if you count all the fiat money and you calculate the depreciation that they have, it's a gigantic value.
Right? They are now openly telling us those things on stage, and we still have influencers manipulating people into thinking that selling our utility assets is the best option, when in reality, it requires a mindset shift to understand that we are transitioning into a future where we are going to be able to generate passive rewards with our XRP and never have to sell out of our positions. This is opening up the door for massive opportunities, and so many people are going to get wrecked as we transition into this new digitally native future, because they're not doing the research. If you guys want to tap into the Wealth 28 Club, where you can learn how we are putting our idle digital assets like XRP and many others to work, head over to CYPRXtrading.com. We'd love to have you on the team. That is it for part 1 of today's video breakdown. Let's transition and go over to part 2. If you enjoyed, do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button and subscribe. Remember, none of this is financial advice. I'm not telling you guys to go out there and buy the digital asset XRP, nor am I telling you guys how to, maintain or protect your portfolios in the future. I'm simply just showing you guys how to change with the moving tides, and it's up to you what to do with that information. With that being said, I'll see you guys in part 2.